Hello everybody and welcome to my very first Kerbal space program video. Today I decided I was going to show off one of the mods I've been playing around with recently, dealing with the IVA, the internal vehicular activity, I believe is what it's meant to say, but basically like a first person mod for Kerbal space program. Down below in the description you'll get all the list of all the mods that I'm using for it. But today we are going to be launching a probe, a ScanSat probe to the moon, and we're going to do that using the probe mission control room Recontrolled. So right now we're just getting a nice daylight so we can see what we're doing, which is funny because we're not going to be seeing much of the daylight since we're going to be in a room. So I'm just loading up this craft that I have here that's a ScanSat craft. This is going to well, scan the surface of the moon. Alright, so there we have it. This is kind of my go-to lifter. I had these two tanks and then the Pila engine from Vinstock Revamp. Got my fairings, so I got everything in there. So now it's time to go to the control room. So what we have here is we have 5 different screens. And each of these screens have many different options for what you can use to view it. That first one here is from Vessel View. That's a mod I think is pretty crucial to adding to this because it shows you the telemetry data of your vessel. So I think that's good. And then right here that I just clicked on, that was our resources, and then we have our nav ball, and then this is our ascent and descent screens. We're going to be going through these and looking at all these different screens a lot. Kind of just with time, you'll start to see what each of them do. So yeah, so as we continue to scroll through here, we're just looking right now before pre-launch, we're just trying to set up the screens in a way that makes sense to us. That screen right there is ScanSat. We don't have any information currently, so it's empty. But once we have a map of the moon, we'll be able to see that in all points of interest. So it'll help us with our future missions for landing either a probe or Kerbals on the surface of the mud. So that right there that you see, this little switch down there, that's the throttle control. I'm mostly going to just be using the Z and the X keys and the control and the shift keys to control it. Turn on SAS. This switch button, this stage button, doesn't seem to work for me in this the control room, so I'm just going to hit it manually with the space bar. And we have liftoff. So if you're familiar with flying in or spaceflight in Kerbal Space Program, you know that it's more important to pay attention to things like the nav ball than visually looking at your rocket as far as telling it where to go. So if you have experience in that and you understand those fundamentals, you can run a mission like this in a control room like this. As you see here, I'm going to focus after going up for a little bit. We're at 218 meters per second, which is more than enough to start our gravity turn. You'll see I'm just easing over the nav ball as we go. As my cursor shows, I'm also paying attention to the apoapsis and the altitude of where we're going on these two screens. That's on the screen on the right. And this isn't the most efficient burn. These videos that I'm going to be showing aren't going to be super efficient. I'm going to make some mistakes. I'm going to make some corrections And that's because I'm not trying to min-max this right now. I'm just trying to show off this mod and its capabilities, and I guess my capabilities as well with it. Maybe eventually down the line, if things like this do well, if this video is interesting to people and they want to see more, then maybe I can try to be a little bit more professional with my space program. But for now, we're just taking a slight angled turn, not even the full 45. And we're going to be aiming to go, no, as I look to the left, you can see the stage, how much fuel is left in the stage, and the throttle that I have. And then we're looking at our apoapsis. It's coming up there. Initially, I cut it off at 100, but I think I raised that a little bit later. I like to be well above the Kerman line. You see my throttle is down. Okay, so what else do we do here? Do next. Oh, so this is MechJeb. This is a very, oftentimes people say is like crucial mod that if you're going to have it, you need to have this. And so this is a MechJeb control that allows you to plot a maneuver node to circularize at the very next apoapsis. So we've got that node plotted in there. And there's the burn time right there, and then the time to intercept the node. It doesn't account for the not advanced tweakables, I can't remember, but the one that tells you exactly when to burn, it doesn't account for that. So you have to have the burn time and start. If you know what I'm talking about, then that should make sense. If not, tutorials are very good for the basics of orbital mechanics. Briefly, you want to have your burn extend halfway before the node and halfway after the node. So you have your time to the node there, and then you have your burn time. So I've been wanting to set my SAS to the target, but it wasn't working. That button wasn't clicking for some reason. So what I decided to do is I went into the map view and then just attached it there. I do a quick little burn to get some momentum going, and then I try to use the time warp to stop myself, but I realized I still hadn't even exited the atmosphere, so now I'm tumbling, but thankfully I was high enough that I end up reaching space right here on the second way back, and I'm able to time warp myself back into a stable position, and then just a minor burn to line myself up with the target. So now I want to release the fairing, but I forget that the stage button doesn't work, so I just hit the space bar. And as you see in the top left screen, the fairing disappears. That button I just clicked is Action Group 1, and that turned the lights on, and I believe the radio dishes. No, maybe Action Group 2 did the radio dishes. Can't remember. Either way, those are the action group buttons. They no longer function as groups that you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with. Each group itself is a one button thing. So now I'm just fast forwarding time a little bit as I wait to reach the maneuver that I have set out to circularize. And I learn, we'll get into what I learned later. So here we have the burn, getting ready. Looking mostly at these two screens, the one on the left to make sure that I'm not straying too far from my heading, and then but mainly the one on the right, not just for the circularization of the green line into the blue line, but also as you can see up there, my cursor was pointing at the delta V. I'm primarily looking at the delta V in this top screen right here, as opposed to the time. I feel that's a better way to kind of gauge things. And then down in this bottom right screen, I was looking at the periapsis, making sure and just doing a few correction burns to make it right on the money. There we are. Yep, our periapsis is reasonable. Orbit is reasonable because our apoapsis is pretty good too. So yeah, now once you circularize your orbit, you get a second to breathe. Um, you get a second to kind of look over your screens and see what else you want to look at for the time being. One thing I enjoyed about this mod and the other IVA mods that I'm going to be showing next is it gives you things to do during this. Oh, right here. So we're talking about Astrogator. Astrogator. Um, Smash of Astronaut and Navigator. But this we can use to plot a maneuver straight to the moon, the MUN. It is a mod you add on. It works very well. I think it's reasonable in doing things like this IVA. I think it's oh yeah, I accidentally switched desks. This desk, while I'm here, I'll explain. This is the crash specialist, so this deals with parachutes and everything that has to do with coming down from to a surface of some sort. So you got your brakes there, you got your SAS controls and minimal SAS controls, just what you need basically. This is a screen. You have access to all the screens, but this is a screen that you'd want because this is the descent screen. It gives you your time to impact and whatnot. Also, having your nav ball would be helpful here. This is also where your alarms are. Normally, I like to turn those on right at the very beginning. But those are different call-out alarms. They don't actually, none of those go off during this mission, but basically if your slope is too high, if you're starting to tilt over, if you're about to reach the ground, that sort of stuff, that's all there. Now we're going to try to switch over to the other desk since we have a little bit of time. These desks are a little bit hard to reach. Yeah, so we got the Capcom. I don't know what that means, but I do. Most of the stuff here has to do with docking. So this is kind of where you would go along that. So your targeted screens would be good, and maybe your docking cam screen would be good here. I haven't done any docking with this yet, so I'm not sure the best setup for this. But you know, you've got two screens to work with here, which is nice. I like having multiple options of things to look at without having to switch back and forth. And then see, you got the undocking maneuver, and then the SAS and the precise control and the RCS. And then of course you have your quick save, as you see right there. You press that button and it quick saves. I think that button should be in this main one, but you know, that's okay. I think this is a great mod, so that's not even a complaint in the slightest. It is a little hard to get back to the desks though, but with some determination you can do it. Anyways, where are we? Let's check this out. So we're going back to Astroneer. So that's this screen right here. It's built in. Once you install the mod, it's built into there. And so as you see here, it plotted a maneuver for us. we were messing around, so it's now behind us. But that's fine. We're not in any rush. We don't have any Kerbals aboard. I do play with tackle life support, so if we were to have Kerbals aboard, that would be a thing. But for now, we're just gonna, make another trip around the planet and then hit the maneuver on the way back. Excuse me. So yeah, so now I'm just physics warping over to allow the ship to just cruise gently over to the target node. There we are. So just doing a little time warping now to get closer to the time for the burn. Oh, and then this is where I realized that the Kraken is still present even in the control room. It doesn't like too fast when you time warp. It doesn't appreciate that, and sometimes it will kill your screens and kill your missions, make you fly past your node. It's a lot of flying past your node, I've come to realize. So I had to just do a reset because I wasn't able to get control of my screens again. So, it was very thankful that I jumped into that desk and hit the quick save button. So serendipity wins over on this. So everything's still set up. I still have my maneuver node met. So now I'm just going back into the control room. And then, no, that's targeting. Yep, get my vessel view up. And then make sure that I have my node set, which I didn't. So that's nice. Checklists are very handy in this, I would imagine. I didn't fly with any kind of physical checklist, but in the future and maybe more difficult missions, I think I might write something down to just have on me. So right there, I flipped the key for the solar array, or not the key, the switch to extend out the solar panels, which should have been done a while ago. Honestly, like right when I got into space and I deployed everything, that's when I should have done it. But better late than never. So yeah, so now I'm just physics warping my way over to the maneuver node. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying earlier before I changed seats. I like something that I'm liking about this mod, these IVA mods in general, is that it gives you some things to do in between your maneuver, like the things you do between burns and between maneuver nodes. Like once I finish with burns, like okay, time to start looking at all the numbers and check out and see where I'm at in this case, and what's my fuel like, what's my life support like, and it takes up some time, and then eventually you finish and you're like, okay, that's good, and then you time warp to the next spot, but it makes you feel like you're getting a lot more out of the game. These IVA mods are definitely definitely is a game changer. It feels traditional Kerbal. I'm gonna just say traditional Kerbal because that's modded and vanilla like, but traditional Kerbal is very much you're the program director of a space agency, and you're running everything. You're flying all these ships, but it's still very much a third person kind of view. Here, you're in this mod, the probe control mod, you're the flight director. in front of these screens, and then in the IVA mods, you're the actual astronaut, and I find that very fascinating. Just being able to be the pilot in this game, to be Jeb, to be Valentina. Um, it's brings a whole another level to this game that I really appreciate. Anyways, what are we doing here? We're time warping again. We hadn't quite learned our lesson about the Kraken just there. You saw the screens all went black. Um, Very close to having missed my node. Yep, once more. Went too fast. And now, as you see, the time jumped to 27 seconds. It was at like 9 minutes. Now it's at 27 seconds to the node. So I don't have a lot of time. I need to move fast. I'm not even on the target node anymore. So time warping in the control room, be very cautious. Be very gentle with it. Don't go too fast. Don't bite off more you can chew. Otherwise, you're just going to miss your node entirely. It doesn't really happen in this episode, but I also recorded another episode, which I'll probably end up editing as well and putting out just like this one, where I do a manned mission, and you'll get to see the effects of the Kraken there, and there's TAC life support, so it becomes a much bigger deal. I guess the more complex the mission becomes. But here we're just looking at our transfer, all the information necessary to get ourselves to the MUN. And this is, I think, the information for targeting anything. So if you were to target a space station, it would give you the same kind of screen. Alright, so it's time to make our burn. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly, so I just switched over to map real fast. I was looking at this screen, it didn't quite look like that was moving. So there you go. There we have our, not rendezvous, our approach. And it made a second maneuver, I'm not sure why. I didn't really notice that yet until a little bit later. I do end up getting rid of this. So right there, I use MechJeb to circularize the orbit, and I'm using, up in the left right there, I'm using Remote Tech, the flight computer of Remote Tech, to execute the maneuver, because I'm not sure if I'm going to have connection. See, there, I got rid of the maneuver. I'm not sure that I'm going to have connection at the time when I need to make this burn, because I don't have very many satellites set up at the MUN at the moment, and this is a probe, so there's no pilot. So I programmed it into the flight computer, and it's actually going to handle all the burns, the burn time and all that on its own. Since there was only like a tiny amount of fuel left and Delta V left in that stage, I decided to just kill it for now. It'll either become space trash or maybe it might collide into the moon. I'm not sure. That's future me's problem. But so now I'm just down into the final stage of the probe, as you see on the right. I don't know why there's that big circle. If anybody knows if that's a graphical glitch or if that represents something, I just don't know what that is. I'd be interested in finding out. But so just looking at our screens, our electric charge is looking good. I mean the thing is the thing is half battery, so it should be looking good. Kind of wish I put different cameras on here. I don't really have a very interesting shot. You can, in some of the cameras, you can adjust them like this. You can zoom in and focus and stuff. I'm using the mod HullcamVDS Recontinued, something like that. But I think it works with other camera mods as well, but I haven't tried them, so I couldn't say for certain. So yeah, so now we are in the transfer stage between Kerbal and the Mun, and so we're just going to be fast forwarding time, watching ourselves do away. It's funny that I have, oh, there's a little bit of the Kraken right there. But it's funny, I have Parallax 2.0 installed. Worked very hard to make the game very, very pretty. And here I am, staring at 1980s technology. Visually, anyways, the idea of just a black screen with a green line and a little square. It's just a little funny to me. It's, outside that window, in the non-IVA form, is a very pretty game that we just don't see in this play style. But it's okay. I played a lot of Kerbal, and so I'm actually, this playstyle is a bit refreshing. So here we are approaching the Mun. And as we approach the Mun, there's a little bit of a stutter, freezing. This is actually much longer of a freezing than I led you to believe. Through the powers of editing, I made it bearably short. But yeah, now we are within the sphere of influence of the Mun. And we are letting flight computer take over, and we're just going to sit back and watch and make sure that everything goes according to plan, which is very akin to what the real space folk who are in rooms like this are actually doing. You put in as much as you can, and then you lean back and you hope everything goes right. And then when it does, you stand up and cheer, and you say good job to your coworkers, and you make history. Yeah. All right, so just a little bit left to go. I'm trying. I think by this point I learned my lesson with the Kraken. Trying not to invite it in. So we are just throttling back. Okay, we've got just a little bit of time left. And I'm not going to be pressing any keys. I'm not, as you see, SAS is actually off because the flight computer is going to be handling it. I'm not going to be hitting throttle or killing the throttle. It just goes. It's one of the reasons why I love remote tech, and as frustrating as it can be to set up a communications network and to lose communications to your satellites, this flight computer makes it all worth it. Oh, and look at that orbit. Beautiful. And as you can see in the top left, there you go. Yep. We made it. We are here. We are circling the Mun. We did it all in the probe control room. Recontrolled. I'll have the actual name in the description. I might even, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll definitely list the mods used for this in the description. So yeah, so now we turn flight computer off for a second so we can get SAS going, which we actually don't need at the moment, but it doesn't hurt. I've got plenty of charge. So now this is a scan set, so I need to be in a polar orbit. I actually forgot about that until just about now. I could have adjusted my my path, my approach on the way over here, and I could have gotten a better, more efficient burn to get to the poles. But this craft doesn't need to do anything else. It's just going to be hovering around the poles. As soon as it's done, it's just going to be a comm satellite. So I don't mind using up all of my fuel if need. This maneuver is actually quite low. It doesn't require a lot, and it keeps us within the range of the periapsis and the apoapsis that we need for the scan to be ideal. So yeah, so use it. I have a problem of over-engineering my rockets, so I always have more fuel than I need. Sometimes I have whole stages that I don't need. So this, the fact that this ended up this small is a win in my book. So yeah, so now I'm just trying to see which screen would be the best. What I need, and see what I need here is to know my inclination. I'm going for a 90-degree, or as close to 90 degree as I can get. And the screen on the right shows the inclination. So now I'm just fast forwarding time a little bit until I get to the node that's going to take me from an equatorial orbit to a polar orbit. And if you're not familiar with the ScanSat mod, the polar orbit is the best way to scan a planet because over time the satellite will pass over every possible spot on the moon, so it'll be able to scan everything, as opposed to if it was equatorial, then you're only scanning the equator and not actually hitting the top third and the bottom third of the planet. Well, celestial body, actually. And if you're not familiar with ScanSat, it is a very great mod that basically gives you surface info about the planet. Not just like topography and altitudes and stuff, but biomes and mineral layouts and water and stuff. And it mixes with other mods too, so you can find a lot of information. So yeah, so my mouse was just hovering over the inclination, and now it's pointing at the flight computer. Again, I did this because I wasn't sure whether or not I would have connection. I do have connection, so I didn't technically need to do flight computer on this, but it's better to be safe than to just lose your probe. In my manned mission, the next episode that I'm going to do, I don't use the flight computer because obviously I don't lose control at any point. So, well, that's not true. I do lose control at one point, but you'll just have to wait to see that. So our orbit is coming in and getting set, and the automatic shut off comes now. And there we are. Inclination of 89 degrees. I will take it. So now our satellite is in position. It's exactly where we want it to be. It's at the exact height that we want it to be, because for the particular thing I'm using, oh, you can see right there, I'm deploying the... Wait, no, I'm not. Oh, no, I'm just spinning. Never mind. I'll fix that in a second. But the scanner arm that we have has a max height of 500 kilometers, and so we're at an apoapsis of 449 and a periapsis of 330. So it is in an ideal position to scan the planet. So I think right now I'm just kind of mentally going over my checklist to make sure that there's nothing else that I need to do. Yeah, look at those resources. I have more than enough. I could probably take this to Midness if I wanted to. But here we are. We're hitting Action Group 3, which extends the scanner arm. As you see right there, it's a little hard because it's dark. But there you go. It's going to scan. Nice little movement. Go ahead and block out Kerbal. Thanks. Thanks for that. And then this action group started the scan, but it also has the animation of retracting or extending again. So technically, we didn't even need that first action group. I just thought it'd be fun, and I didn't know that we didn't need it. So yeah, as you see, I've got the perfect height. It's not a perfect height, but I'm at an ideal height for what I need. Yeah, so that was a mission successful. We can. Oh, I was looking at that. I didn't notice that beforehand. But that's actually going to be very helpful in the next episode, the thrust limiter. But, well, that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching. This was the first Kerbal Space Program episode I've ever done, and so I was very excited to be able to do this. I've been having a lot of fun with this game, and I'm excited for Kerbal Space Program 2 to come out. I think the developers have been doing a great job of keeping the community interested and excited for it. And I know that there's just such a great community around this game. So it's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun making this and sharing it with you. And I hope this interests you. I mean, if you've watched this far, you at least had some sort of interest, hopefully. But yeah. This has been Probe Control Room Recontrolled mod that gives us an IVA view of our probes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that little screen up there. I didn't see that until the very end. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.